Item number 5.
Item number 5 is discuss using the portion of log cabin for community pantry with fridge. This item was sponsored by Commissioner Dominguez, and we have housing that will be presenting the item.
Hi, thank you. So a resident, Clive, had reached out and given information, suggestion for use of a fridge and pantry. And Alba, you and I have had many conversations because I've done food distributions up in North Beach and seen the necessity. I know at one point there was a community fridge that was vandalized and closed, so we're looking for alternate locations. We've tried various churches up there without success and wanted to hear the viability of this location.
Good morning, Marcela Rubio, Assistant Director, Office of Housing and Community Services. And as you mentioned, we were directed to explore the possibility of opening a community pantry within the log cabin, which is currently at 30% design phase and expected to be presented at the Historic Preservation Board this month. So in order for this to be realized, we have to consider a few factors. The pantry would require a refrigerator with a dedicated electrical circuit to properly store perishable items, as well as shelving for non-perishable items, and possibly a hand wash station, sanitizer, and signage for in order to be compliant with health standards. In addition, adequate space would be required for a waste receptacle and in order to maintain food quality at all times. Beyond the infrastructure, there are also staffing that needs to be considered and possibly security in order to make sure that there is no more vandalism and no illegal operations within the community pantry.
Are there any grants that can help with any of these costs?
Well, there could possibly be grants, but we were looking for direction to see what the parameters of the community pantry as far as volume would be considered to not only incorporate that into the design of the log cabin, but also consider what funding could be available to potentially fund this.
And I was on the log cabin call recently, and this item was brought up. I felt that it was the residents that were on board, the community, were supportive of that. There was also an uproar on the location that came up, so I know that there's a lot of different factors going on. Commissioner Rosen Gonzalez.
I'm so happy about the log cabin getting built, but we have so many complaints about the homeless population in North Beach, and we're going to build a log cabin in the middle of the park and then put an open fridge in the center of it. Is that the plan? Because
the
I
fridge would
really
be
don't know
inside.
if that will. So if it's inside the log, I just think that's an invitation to say, come be
And
homeless
it's not
in the park.
homeless.
We're
We have
spending all this.
residents that don't have enough food.
Yeah, but why would we do it in the center of the park? If you want to do this and you want to have a food pantry, why not have these guys have it at a community center? Like, I think the community I'm just saying that to have an open fridge in the center of the park where we're constantly getting complaints about a homeless population doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me. And it's not that I'm being uncompassionate. I'm just saying our police department is working overtime to try to solve this problem, and I feel like this is
I think
an
you're
invitation
misguided.
to camp.
This is not to feed the homeless. This is something completely
Yes,
different.
but it will feed the homeless. In
This
the middle
is
of a
for
park,
our
in the
residents
dunes,
that are food
I
insecure.
understand. I understand, but this is not the place to do this. There has to be a better place. If you want to have a community fridge that people can come and pick up food, I think it needs to be administered from the North Shore Community Center. What is it? It's North Shore.
Parking Center?
Yeah, okay, from the hours, you could say, for example, between the hours of 8 and 5, and you can have a space outdoors where people could come and pick up the food, and that way somebody is administering it. But to just have a fridge in the middle of a park next to the dunes where we have this criminal element that's hanging out, that's kind of like, hey, come and camp here.
We can agree to disagree, and I'd like to move the item to the full commission so that the
Well,
7 of us can discuss.
I'm not voting for that in
Okay,
the middle
thank
of
you.
a park. So
Yeah, well,
it
there's
so
an
fails.
item,
So-
no, it doesn't fail. It goes without a recommendation if it goes to the full commission.
Why
with
don't we
2
just
people.
wait? Okay, all right, fine.
We can't wait because this is in the middle of being designed. And second, Commissioner Bott has an item to move the location, so it's not going to be in the park.
If you move the location, I would support this, but as is, you're asking, do you realize what you're
can agree to
proposing?
disagree. Yes, I'm proposing that the food insecure people in North Beach that have homes but not enough food have access to some.
Okay, well, this makes no sense to me because the
Thank
food
you for the
pantry makes,
feedback.
well, no, why don't you could we just defer it for a month?
What I worry
So that
is
you have a new location?
the design phase of where we're at and not being able to help people in North Beach with this.
Good morning, David Gomez with Capital Improvements. We are scheduled to appear before DRB this week. And it is important to note, as minor correction, it was said HPV earlier. HPV orders are binding, DRB orders are not binding. So the commission has the ability to change those orders should they deem necessary. The addition of a refrigerator and some shelving to the space itself does not alter the design of the building.
That's good news because we could, if we defer this, to add a refrigerator to it, that could cost us tens of thousands of dollars.
So, David, this is
I'm
Tanya.
supportive of a
There have
community
been-
fridge. I understand that idea and I am supportive of it. I just think that it should be regulated and not necessarily in the middle of the park. And so, and moving it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as you're in the design phase, does it matter?
It would matter, yes. That's a different, it would require different due diligence and different studies and other additional efforts.
David, I had put in a request that you work to delay this appearance at DRB because we have a lot of unanswered questions regarding the site and the size and the internal design and all those things. Is that something that's
And I did the same. I
being
sent
honest?
a message to the city attorney.
Yeah, and I did pass on that request. I haven't received a response yet.
Okay, listen, as an activist and a resident of North Beach, long before I was a commissioner, I was very, very, very involved in the log cabin debacle. And it is truly a debacle, the way it happened, the way the administration, members of whom are no longer here, told residents and activists one thing and then went ahead and did the complete opposite with no warning, reneging on all kinds of agreed upon conversations. This is something that is very important to a lot of people in North Beach. I know for the rest of the city and possibly staff and colleagues on the commission, they don't get it. It's just a log cabin. Who cares? It's going to be reconstituted in some fashion. You know, get over it. But that's not how the community sees it. At this point, I don't think there is consensus with where it is, what it's going to be used for, and how it should look. The design is lovely. It does not look like the log cabin. And I am not going to support anything that moves it forward in its current iteration without having those conversations fleshed out more fully. And I understand that it's going to take a little bit of time, but we're not getting a second crack at getting our log cabin back. So those conversations need to be had and heard and honored. So I'm very okay with the idea of, in some way, incorporating a fridge if it's not in the park and it can be managed in some way that doesn't, put the facility and its users at risk. I understand that the pantry is not intended for homeless folks, but I also understand the concern that's being raised that if it's sort of nestled into a park that already attracts folks, it may be counterproductive. So I get that. I just think we are moving this forward too quickly without the correct inputs and trying to force fit something into a place and in a configuration that is not quite there yet.
Okay, so I will hold on to this. I'll also make a comment that, if I'm not mistaken, the commissioner that saved the log cabin and sponsored it was Mark Samulin. And it was something that was very passionate for the community and remembering how he always fought for the residents. Okay.
Wait. Can I just say something
Yes.
about this? Commissioner Bott, I would appeal to you to build it where it is because this happened in 2018, and here we are in 2026. It has taken us 7 years, 8 years to get to where we are. We finally have the funding. We finally picked a vendor. We finally have a design. I think, we agreed many years ago to build it in the park, and I'm not saying it's ideal. It is not where the log cabin once was. But to stop this process when we've already finally found somebody who can restore the log cabin is just going to cost us so much money. It just won't get done. I mean,
It will get done. It will get done. And this is not derailing the process. It is doing it thoroughly. And the fact that it was approved in 2018 and hasn't gotten moved until now is not because we've been working that entire time to try to move it. It's because it was just not up in the queue before now. So in fact, it's actually been fairly quick, about, a year, maybe two, which in government terms is reasonably quick. But so, taking it just back to 2018 is not correct. I'm not willing to support moving it, keeping it in the park if the entire community of North Beach is against it. And I think the right thing to do, since we are the elected representatives of residents, is to hear what the community is trying to accomplish and to tweak what we need to do. And maybe we find a compromise. I'm not saying it's all or nothing, but let's have those conversations. Let's find the best path forward and not just do it for the sake of crossing it off the list.
I do think that there needs to be a community meeting face to face on this because I attended the virtual session and I felt like there were a lot of people that were unhappy and angry and nothing got fleshed out from that forum. Are we allowed here to create a resolution to have a face-to-face forum for the log cabin, or would we have to go back to the commission to create that? Or maybe we could.
I think you need to submit it today because the agenda will close later this evening, so get it in.
I mean, I don't need to. We can hold the
I'll
log
co-sponsor.
cabin meeting. What?
I would co-sponsor if you put something like that.
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to take commission direction to hold a city meeting on the log cabin. I think we can initiate that together if we wanted to. But I do think we need to have a face-to-face session.
Yeah, I would join you in supporting
Commissioner
that.
I hear you. I lament the fact that we finally got to this phase and we're going to make changes. But I guess that's just par for the course. Just cost a lot of money when we move forward and then make these changes. It's expensive.
Okay, so we'll hold on to this item here, and there's more to be done with location and other factors with the log cabin. All right, thank you, and now we'll go to item number 6.